There is a world that has created us, and there's a world that we have created. These two worlds must come together. This is the goal of the journey. I could also say, this is the plan of the Healing Biotopes. These two lines by Dieter Doom summarize it in the last years in the most profound way that I know. It is so simple and so fundamental what is said there. There is a world that has created us, and we know very little about it, really. We can connect to it. We have moments where we know that we are part of this world, and these are moments where we know this is the right place for us to be. This is how we are meant in creation. And there's a world that we have created. And we know that this is not in coherence with the world that has created us. I want to make an excursion into the world that we have created, only to begin with. To call into our consciousness the background, the backdrop of these 2 weeks and the privilege that Juliette has mentioned and introduced us to before. I myself, since concentrating on this lecture, I've been crying more than in the last years. Almost every time, and I will see whether I cry now, but the point is, if I look into the world that we have created, and it's very current, the catastrophe that I see is very current, and it is not on the other side of the planet anymore. So maybe you have come here for reasons of inner reasons that you cannot bear it any longer, what is going on in your life and on this planet. And maybe you have come here driven by the impulse to actually help and do something about it. In both cases, I want us to go to this place of heart opening where we can see and feel and understand what is going on. The war that has taken place for millennia now, all over the world, in a way that we by now actually consider it normal, has come to a level that it is threatening to destroy all life on this planet. Then we can discuss whether it will be only human life or all life. But if we look into what's going on in Europe, for the last years, the refugee crisis, people having to leave the place where they are born, where it is their right to live and to live in a good way, die in the ocean because other people have created a system where they cannot accept these people into their lives. The war that is climaxing for some time in the imperialistic system that has taken place in other places of the world is reaching Europe. It is reaching the USA. And in the last 10 days, I had many moments where the political news I got triggered this slightly bizarre laughter in me. I had to laugh because in every moment when I hear the news, I can pick any example. Erdogan, the Turkish prime minister, is capturing people who oppose the system by the thousands, by the tens of thousands, and throws them into prison in Europe, in the European Union. And a big newsletter magazine, the Spiegel, is quoting him and says, Erdogan has criticized limitations of public opinion in the European Union. Yeah, I see some of you laughing, and it is so bizarre, this statement, that a person who is establishing a criminal system against all human rights is quoted that way in the European Union. And the examples of this cruelty, of this catastrophe, are countless by now. And the point is that in our hearts, we know they are countless, and so we do not let them touch ourselves anymore. And we do not let them touch ourselves because we do not see a perspective to change that catastrophe. And now I do not only welcome you in Tamara, as Robert, I hope many of you were here yesterday, did in such a beautiful way yesterday, but I welcome you in the edifice, in the thoughts of the Healing Biotopes plan. And this is a plan which was received and put into words by Dieter Doom, which was the original impulse to start this project Tamara and a network of centers for Terra Nova, with the premises that healing is possible. That all the craziness that we call normal and that we close our hearts from seeing can actually end. It is a radical statement that life is not meant like this. Martin Winjecki, also a co-worker of Tamara that you will see a lot, hopefully in the coming 2 weeks, wrote a very brilliant article where he quoted Vertigo. Vertigo is a term that the Native American, the First Nation people, coined for calling all what is going on a disease. They had no other way to understand what the white man is doing to nature, to all of creation, to each other. They said this must be a disease. Probably it's contagious. And in a way, I ask us all to go to this place to see our society and our culture as a disease and not as normality. And I know that even the thought is very hard to come by because it is so deeply entrenched into our systems that cruelty, domination, egocentric striving for my own best are part of human nature. And then there's a group of people that claim it is not. And actually all spiritual traditions, all ethical, clean roots of religions have claimed that the human being is meant in another way. And they have focused on individual improvement, striving for an ethical line of being better on an individual level, while our fear has created a system which makes it impossible for the individual self to escape and be a good person. When I was 16, I met a Native American leader who said, either we love or we are hurt. Again, one of these very simple sentences. And I was very impressed at that time and kept carrying it with me and started to observe that this is true. That in all the places where I as a person and we as a culture are not able to share, are not able to love, are separated from the whole of life, from the sacredness of life, it is fear and pain. Now, the beauty of the Healing Biotopes plan, one of the beauties, is that the question is not how do we as individuals come back to this original meaning, how we are meant to live on this planet. But it says we need to create life forms, life systems, which reunite, reconnect to this force of life, to our natural state of being in all areas of life. The idea is that centers emerge, that we create centers where the sacredness of life shines through all areas of life. And it takes some painful accounting to oneself to see that the system we are living in does exactly the opposite. The fear of separation and our defense against this fear shines through all areas of life. It shines through the way that we extract our energy. It shines through the way that we gather our food. It shines through the way we believe in a God of punishment and damnation and sin, our religious core. It shines through the way of the most intimate connections we have to other people in eros and love and sexuality, leading us to a misunderstanding of what love and eros is in such a profound way that we actually have to go to the foundations of our civilization to set it right again. And in this view, it is as megalomaniac as it is humble. It is neither nor. It is connected to the power of the choir that we just heard. It is that wide, it is that beautiful, it is that natural. When we come to the understanding how deeply our life system is determined by fear and separation, we start waking up to the possibility that there is another life system. And I know the founders of this project, and I honor them for their courage to step into this idea. In a time where we consider cruelty, war, killing, and separation normal, they step up and say, we can create another life. And not only through becoming better people, but by creating life systems which enables everybody, every person on this planet, to become that better person. Understanding comes from this place that the culture of war that we are part of is based on a field of war. It is based on the fundamental information of separation and fear. And it is not individuals who step in with a great intention only, but all of us are steered by this field of war. It has become part of our DNA. And now comes the thought that we can create a field of peace, a field of reconnecting to life. And to create this field, we want and need to create life models where, for the different areas of our life, this reconnection, this reunion with life itself can shine through. Where we create solutions in all areas of life that reconnect us to this possibility. This understanding of creating a new field is so important because many times when we look into the world and see the overpowering strength of a society of war, we cannot believe that our good efforts are enough. But if we start to understand that it is a field that is steering our actions from fear, and that this field can be changed, that a new field of information can be created, then power comes to us. Then the possibility for creating a global change comes to us. The political theory says that a few such centers can change the course of human evolution. They need to be deeply rooted in the sacredness of life. They need to be free of contradictions. They need to be filled with the power of life. And they need to create a global alliance for this new world to manifest. At the moment, I don't know how slow to go with these thoughts, because I know how many times I miss the immensity of these thoughts. I hear them, I'm touched by them, and then I go back to normal and still think it is normal. The possibility of creating a peace model in one place on earth, which has a global effect and which eliminates or transcends all suffering, is so overwhelming. And I really ask us to be courageous enough to be overwhelmed in this sense in the coming weeks. This morning, I read an article about the terrorist personality. It's an analysis that, again, in the magazine Spiegel, the German magazine, was given, and it describes how certain people have certain traits and develop in their Islamic surrounding to become terrorists because their anger explodes. And it puts it onto a small group of people. But in Tamara, we have the chance to understand that this terrorist personality is in all of us. And actually, I can say that the energy of the person who wants to blow up this system because he cannot bear it anymore is closer to my heart than the numbness that we live in usually. I'm not calling for terrorist acts, obviously. But the anger and the indignation, the outcry of life that lies in them, I can relate to. And it is that energy that we need to come to find a peace plan that has a global effect. It cannot be on the superficial level of thinking positive. Because if we really think, it's not so positive. We have to go very deep in our thinking. We have to go all the way to the base layer where we recognize intellectually that all life is one. Otherwise, positive thinking is a nice phrase. The privilege of Tamara is also that we do this inner research to recognize the structures of war inside ourselves while we throw all our life energy and determination into creating a different world, a new society, a real possibility to overcome these inner structures. Diving deep into these structures, we can get lost in the trap of therapy, of trying to heal ourselves. And the beauty of the Healing Biotopes plan is that it says, don't even try just individual healing. Go deep in recognizing the structures of war inside yourself. See how crazy it is to call them normal. But throw your energy, your impact into serving, into service towards the world to create a new system. And the magic of it is whenever I or you or anybody does that, personal healing comes almost as a side effect. The fulfillment we long for so much actually comes in the moment that we throw our determination into creating a fulfilled world for everybody. And there's a logic in this, because the world that we have created over the last thousands of years was a world of separation. And in this world of separation, we look, how can I heal myself? But stepping out, letting compassion arise and say, we will create a healed world for everybody, is the healing itself. The opening to feel what is going on and take a decision from there to create these centers is healing in itself. And it might not result immediately in fulfillment, but that is not the point. There's a state of being part of the Healing Biotopes plan, and I actually made an experience together with Sabine Lichtenfeld, another of these courageous founders of this project. I made the experience while walking the Camino de Santiago that this plan is, as Juliette said, the plan of life itself. And surrendering to this plan, I am guided to do what I am needed to do, the role that I need to play in this larger healing. And entering the space of the Healing Biotopes plan is a surge of power. It is also a surge of stillness, but it is a surge of power. Because we as humans shape so much more life on earth than we think when we run blindly in a machine. The state of being that there is a plan of creation where the way that we live on our planet, the way that we live with each other, is guided deeply by the sacredness of life. is a moment when we see that what we do in a project like Tamara is divine will. And being part of that divine will is the fulfillment of the individual self. The moment the decision for this plan plays out on an individual level. But in the moment we take the decision, we start to see that we have allies all over the world. And most important, life itself becomes an ally. Life itself becomes a steering force of my actions and my decisions. And that is because each of us is part of that life body. And in a way, we step out of a hypnosis of many thousands of years. Right now, after all these movements, it feels so calm right now that I invite this calmness into the 2 weeks where each of us can make the discoveries and join this larger plan. Where we can find our places in this plan, where we find the determination for this outcry of life. Maybe the last thing that I say is that the Healing Biotopes plan, in the last weeks we many times have discussions whether it's a plan or it's a dream or it's a vision. And I want to tell you why I call it a plan. First of all, I give you a little funny etymological idea. Etymology is a science of where words come from. And I give you a wrong one, but I give you the one that makes sense to me. The plan of the Healing Biotopes comes from planet. Plan comes from planet. The plan that we are talking about is not a masculine, patriarchal concept that we put over life. It is a deep listening to life itself. It is a deep listening to the planet and its needs. And with this understanding, I don't care what we call it, but I know that it is a matrix in life itself that I need to open up to, that we need to open up to take the right decisions. There is too much suffering going on right now to stay in this hypnosis. And I actually asked Monica to sing a song, The Moon Rider. She never sang it before publicly. It's an experiment, but I know that it catches this love for this planet. It is written by an astronaut who has seen the Earth from outer space. And all the accounts, all the reports of all these astronauts are very simple. They see this blue planet and they don't have any other words than love and home and beauty. And let us connect to this love and beauty of this planet to be steered by our decisions and the study for the next 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Monica, for singing it.